Peter says the Trump president cannot do anything worse than our government. I wish him well, and I hope our government leaders learned a few lessons as well, says Peter. It's going to be an interesting time, isn't it? We've got the events starting already. We know that as we speak, Donald and Melania Trump arriving at a church service as the day and the events begin. There's going to be a lot to go on over the next few hours as well. After that church service, of course, it then gets into the detail, and at 4:47 UK time this afternoon, 47 minutes past the hour, which is to reflect the 47th President of the United States, I should say. There he is. He's back in the White House. He's back in the Oval Office. And he's going to get one underway. He's going to hit the ground running. Let's speak with Greg Swenson, the chair of Republicans Overseas. He's in Washington, D.C. Good afternoon to you, Greg.
Hello, Ian. Good to see you.
And you too. Is there a real vibe? Is there a sense that you can feel not just a big day for any American when a new president is sworn in, but is this a real sense of change?
Yeah, it's really different than other inaugurations, Ian. There's such an electric feeling here of optimism. And it's not just for the inauguration day. It's just a general sense of optimism that, you know, many people view it as getting their country back in one respect, but also just economic optimism that the sort of the Biden administration was so hostile to the private sector. Wages are down 4% since Biden took office. So there's just a real great feeling about the return of sanity and common sense.
Sanity and common sense seems to be absolutely central to what is being talked about in terms of this incoming president. A very real feeling that under Biden, like a lot of other Western leaders, he doesn't stand alone. He's not in isolation with this kind of slightly wacky way of viewing the world. But he certainly took it to very high-profile levels. He was, after all, the president. All of that is going to go, apparently. The gender madness, the pronouns, men playing women's sport, DEI, all of that stuff that everyone with a brain says, this is nonsense. Trump's going to deal with that early doors, we understand.
Absolutely. You're going to see it day one in the executive actions where DEI will essentially be removed from the government. And it's already started in the private sector. You're seeing even big woke banks like HSBC, like Citibank, they're all taking, you know, DEI off of their platforms. And it's a great sign. And you also see that with the ESG movement. I think you've already seen pullback from that, but I think you'll see a lot of, again, common sense return to the economy and to the nation in general.
Yeah. Do you think this will be noticeable? Because there's the problem with all politicians of whatever colour, Greg, you know, they talk the talk, they make a lot of promises. And then, of course, you know, after the excitement, when it's all died down, it's like, OK, right, let's see some action. You need to feel it, a tangible nature that your man or woman has delivered. Will we get a sense of that quite quickly with Trump?
I think we will. Again, the executive actions will happen today, and you'll see that, you know, for example, the border is something that executive actions can really address. And Biden did it on day one. He basically opened the border, so it led to, you know, a crisis in human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug and basically, you know, everything that happened at the border was because of Biden's executive actions. You'll see a massive reversal of all of those today. And so that's something that can happen quickly. Some of the economic issues, like extending the 2017 tax cuts, that will take some time. Obviously, you've got to go through Congress, and that might take time. Hopefully, by the summer, you'll see some big wins. But a lot of it can happen quickly, and it's also just the general attitude of knowing that sanity is returning. That optimism permeates the economic issues, and so I think you'll see a lot of response and a lot of anticipation.
And in terms of what has been left behind, Biden has gone, Trump's in. Naturally, they've had a couple of meetings and shaken hands and acted sort of with dignity. But it's not going to take. I mean, it's already started, but it won't take long before that. Mr. Trump is really not going to have any great things to say about the previous administration. I don't imagine him saying, "Oh, I'll just keep that policy there because that looked rather good."
No, and you saw that in his speech yesterday at the rally. He's quite critical for all the right reasons of the Biden administration. And so much of that was destructive. And this is one of the many reasons why President Trump was reelected, and reelected, by very considerable margins. So I think you'll see a lot of criticism of Biden. Right now he's bitter, he's angry. It's reflected in some of the comments you've seen or heard from President Biden, and also from his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. So that there's not a lot of love lost between the Trumps and the Bidens, but more importantly, it's that friction in the Democrats right now. You saw that coldness between Jill Biden and Kamala, at Jimmy Carter's funeral, for example. So I think the criticisms of Biden have already started. They've been around for a long time, but I think history will not be kind to Biden. I would argue he's worse than Jimmy Carter. Comparisons between the two are probably an insult to Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Greg, enjoy the day. Enjoy the afternoon. Enjoy